Hello everyone. So let us continue with our discussion. In the previous lecture, I have introduced the third LOS, your LOSC, which is discussing about your financial stabilities and other aspects. Okay. So LOSC, which we have to discuss now. See, till now, what is clear to us? Sir, what is private credit and how rapidly it has grown? Clear? So, next question, which actually comes to our mind, and that is related to, are we really worried about this rapid growth? And the answer is yes. Why? See, it's not that private credit is bad. Okay, the private credit is good because it is helping to those organizations who are unable to find the financing from any other organizations. Okay, now then sir, what is the issue? The issue is that private credit is growing much faster than regulators ability to monitor it. Okay, they suppose it's like that A and B both are running, but B is running faster than A. So in that situation, it is very difficult for A to actually monitor B. Okay, that's the main concern over here, that private credit organizations are growing at a much faster pace what regulator can even imagine. So their rules, regulations, policies are not getting updated in that manner. And now private credit is including that retailers as well. Okay, so it's like think about a city where thousands of new buildings are being constructed every year, but the number of fire stations, police officers, and safety inspectors remains the same. So initially everything will look fine, but if a major accident will happen, the city may not be prepared to handle it. Clear? So this is the exactly what the concerned regulators have with the private credit. Now write down this. Why are regulators concerned? Why are regulators concerned? Why are regulators concerned? So now see, uh, first of all, if I'll say that I'm comparing traditional bank lending with the private credit, okay, so commercial bank are among the most regulated institutions in the world. Clear? Every loan they make is going to be monitored, and they must maintain that capital under Basel III, follow the liquidity rules, conduct stress testing, and regularly report their financial condition to the regulators. Clear? So it's like when a company raises the money through public bonds, it must provide a detailed disclosures. Okay, so investors are going to receive the financial statements, annual reports, credit rating, and continuous updates as well. So therefore regulators and investors can easily monitor what's actually happening. Clear? Now when I compare this with private credit loans are privately negotiated, they usually non-rated, not traded in the public market, highly customized, and they are subjected to much more fewer disclosures. Okay, they don't have so much of disclosures. Clear? So immediately we notice one major difference, that there is very less transparency, and whenever transparency will decrease, regulators become uncomfortable. Why? Sir, because they cannot see the risk clearly, they cannot manage those risks properly. So one issue which is coming to the mind of the regulators is, sir, there is a lack of transparency. There is a lack of transparency. Clear? Now imagine that you are a doctor and one patient undergoes regular blood test, ECG, MRI, and so many things. Another patient never visited a doctor. So who is more difficult to diagnose? Obviously the second patient, not because he is necessarily a seeker, but because you simply don't have enough information. Similarly, with respect to the private credit, the lack of disclosure makes it very difficult to identify the problems before they become serious. Clear? That's why the IMF, okay, repeatedly mentioned that there is a lack of transparency and that needs to be improved on a immediate basis. But definitely yes, it will take time, but for that we have to plan today. Now over here, regulators also conclude one more thing, that still they don't know that how much is the full risk. This is something which is still questionable. Okay, why? Because the point is very clear that material says that we have insufficient information so that we can fully analyze the private credit impact on the financial stability. Why? So because the industry has grown extremely fast, it has not yet experienced a major financial crisis in its current size, because the last major financial crisis happened in 2008. After that, we have not experienced it. It's about 18 years since then. Okay, and private credit have grown only in this period only. So it's like, think about aviation. Okay, uh, suppose you design a completely new aircraft and it is introduced and it performed perfectly for the 2 years. Can we conclude that yes, it is perfectly safe? That the answer is no, because its true strength will be known only after it operates under extremely difficult conditions. Similarly, the private credit have experienced only the good period. Okay, so they have not yet gone through that difficult full credit cycle at this large scale. Therefore, regulators are very cautious and they are essentially saying that we do not know how this market will behave during a major recession. Okay, so over here, IMF is saying that they are doing good, but they are not well tested during a worst case scenario. That's the most important point. So what if such type of situations will come, how it is going to perform, how it is going to behave, how it will give the money back to the investors, because investors are very big organizations, and now retail investors can also enter into the private credit. IMF is not saying that this private credit is creating any financial crisis, okay, but they are just concerned. Why? So because asset and liability durations are reasonably matched, which is definitely not in the case of bank, but here it is possible. Why? Because the investors are giving the money for long term and the fund is also investing it for the long term. This is the one thing which is in favor of the private credit. Okay, so they are saying that, IMF is saying that, see, this thing is very good. Okay, their leverage is also low. Private credit leverage is low because investors are putting their own money, equity. Okay, liquidity risk is manageable because they have the money which is locked in. Clear? So always remember that concern is not for today. The concern is the future potential risk. There is a possibility that private credit can even survive the worst case scenario. There is a possibility, we don't know yet. Okay, so this is the one thing. Next, another important thing is competition. Competition can also create a new risk. Means, suppose 10 private credit funds are competing for the same borrowers, because see, investors have giving the money, multiple investors, multiple funds, he is the borrower, they all are competing, who will give the money to him? Clear? So each lender want to win more business, because their business is what? To lend the money. So how they can attract the borrowers? How they can attract? What are the different methods? One, so charge lower interest rate. Charge lower interest rates. Then second one is offer easier loan conditions. Offer easier loan conditions. And third one is to reduce borrowers restrictions. Borrowers restrictions. Clear? So initially it looks attractive, but from a risk management perspective, it can be dangerous. Okay, so we call this as you are weakening your own underwriting standards. Clear? Suppose last year a lender approved a loan only to a company with strong cash flow, but now because competition have increased, lenders started approving the companies even with a weaker financial health. At the end, what they're looking is to get the business. So naturally, future defaults will increase, and this is exactly what had happened in 2008. Clear, when many mortgage lenders relaxed their lending standards so that they can gain the market share. Initially, their profit increased, but later default exploded. So IMF have warned that private credit industry should not repeat the same mistake which happened earlier. Clear? So now what will happen over here? You are charging lower interest rates. Okay. So you are getting lower risk premium. Think it from the investor's perspective that I am getting lower risk premium, because remember that basic principle: higher the risk, higher the return. So suppose a risky borrower should ideally pay 12%. Clear? But because lenders are competing aggressively, someone agrees to lend to the same person at 9%. So has the borrower's risk reduced? The answer is no. Only the lender's compensation has reduced. Therefore, lender is not being properly rewarded for taking the risk. So this is why I am saying that over here, because you are paying a lower interest rate, you are reducing your risk premium. Clear? Then loan conditions, you made it much more easier. Okay, see, competition may also reduce the protection for the lender. Clear? Earlier lender could have said this: you cannot sell major assets without my permission, but now just to attract the business they have removed this restrictions. So this increases the risk because borrowers now have greater freedom to take the action that will weaken the position. So competition will increase the profit in short term, but it will increase the long term risk. So now we are going to discuss these risks in much more detailed way. Okay, like the first risk which comes to my mind is the credit risk, because your whole and soul business is all about credit. Okay, see, borrowers are small companies, they are highly leveraged, they are borrowing through the floating rate loans. Now imagine that interest rates suddenly will increase, so interest expenses immediately it will rise. Some borrowers cannot generate that sufficient amount of cash flows. Default will start increasing. As default increases, lenders will suffer the losses, and therefore higher interest rate can directly increase the credit risk. Clear? And there is a lack of transparencies for the investors, because investors have given the money to the funds. Now funds are losing the money from the borrowers. Clear? And there are many large investors like pension funds and insurance companies who have invested heavily in these private credit, but because the private loans are not publicly traded, then these investors may not fully understand, sir, what is the actual risk inside their portfolio. Clear? Suppose an insurance company owes billions of dollars of private credit. So during a recession, it suddenly discovers that many underlying borrowers are much more weaker than expected. So losses can therefore become more large from what you can expect. Clear? Similarly, it will happen with the liquidity risk. Okay, interconnectedness risk, we are going to discuss everything in detail. Okay, valuation risk is there, financial stability risk is there. Clear? So all these risks I am going to now explain to you one by one. Okay, so what are those 6 points which now we are going to discuss? One is credit risk. Now I'm going to very quick because you know what is credit risk. Okay, liquidity risk. Third one we have is interconnectedness risk. Interconnectedness risk. Then we have is a valuation risk. We are going to discuss financial stability risk. And finally we are going to discuss the conduct risk. Okay, So basically in the next lecture, I'll start discussing these points one by one. Okay. Thank you.